so today I'm going to be fishing bottom sweeper jigs with some of these sand fleas, but what I'm going to be specifically doing is using my side scan to try and find and locate these fish, and I'll show you exactly what I'm looking for and what you should be looking for if you're ever using the side scan or the structure scan. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you quickly what I'm looking for. So if you've never used side scan before, this streak going down the middle is your boat. On the bottom it has, I don't know, it's kind of salty, but measurements of feet to your right, to your left, port, starboard, whatever you want to call it. Now, what fish usually show up on the Lowrance structure scan look like that. That right there, that little pile of, you know, white is croakers. Now, other structures will show up differently. I'm going to try and pull up on some rocks so that I can show you what they look like as well. Now, why I think these fish are stacked in this little area is it's going to drop off as we drift back. Current's coming this way, and on a full moon tide like we have right now, the current's much stronger than it normally is, and it's just ripping through. These fish can sit in that little hole and avoid most of that, you know, real strong current because it's going over the top. But I'm about to be drifting over that little spot right about now. Yep, and there starts the hits. There we go. Maybe I was about to say a croaker. We might start keeping a few of these guys. They got to be a minimum 8 inches. I think this might be. Let's see what we're at. Oh yeah, 11. Probably won't keep anything under 11. There we go. Oh, that's a good croaker right there. Add him to the breadcrumbs. Put this down for 1 sec. All right. Oh, there we go. Tell you what, man, these jumbo croakers giving a pretty good fight on light tackle. Toss it right here. Tell you what, man, today is like godsend. The sun's, you know, been pretty much inexistent all day. Last few days just been like rough, like close to 90s and like mid 90s with the heat index. I'll take days like today, man, with little to no wind. Oh, there we go. Another croaker. Wow. Found a little croaker hole. And they're one of the coolest fish. I think these croakers are pretty stacked up right here. There we go. Because it's not very long of a wait once you drift back on them. What I've been doing is kind of setting up ahead of that little slope and just drifting over top of them with a bottom sweeper jig. You know, there's like the myth of like you have to be completely still, you know, holding the bottom to catch them, but you can catch them just as effectively drifting as you can just anchored up. Oh, there they are. There they are. It's like clockwork. Literally right on that little ledge every time you drift back on them. And the beauty of the jig fishing, man, is it really, in my opinion, makes the fight so much more fun. Yeah, fishing with the rigs is fun, but with the jig, the only, you know, weight you feel is the slight amount that is building that lead. Where with a rig, it's kind of like, I don't know, you're fighting the rig more than you are the fish. I'd say the rig's probably the more effective way to catch more quicker, especially if you're fishing doubles or a high-low rig. Should be coming on it right now, I believe. Yep. It's funny how you can just tell the different depth contours and where they are, and they seem to be sitting right on this little ledge. It's like I don't know, 2 foot, 3 foot drop off, and they're just stacked. Every drift has resulted in a fish. I just shifted over to a quarter ounce jig. Not that the half wasn't getting it done. I think we can get away with it right now, and if we can, it amplifies, in my opinion, fishing. One, you could feel the bites a lot easier, and two, you know, less seems to be more when it comes to fighting fish. Like, the less, you know, weight you have on, the better the fight is, in my opinion. We should be coming back off that lump right about here. Yeah, actually we're maybe a few feet off of it. Yep, as soon as I said that. It's funny how it works like that. That guy, spunky, man. All these, you know, the crazy thing is all these are about keeper size, if not a few inches over, but we already kept a handful, and unless I get like a monster, something that's gonna have like some big fillets, I'm just gonna keep throwing back these kind of cookie cutter, you know, 13, 14 inchers. Try and wait to see if we can't get one that's like over 18. Something like that, you get some decent fillets off of. Because I don't know how many of you at home fish for croakers, but if you keep, you know, all the smaller ones, man, it's a task to fillet that many fish and, you know, debone them. They're not, you know, the easiest fish to debone, in my opinion, because they got those little pin bones right, you know, right at the corner of the fillet. But we're drifting back on that little ledge right about here. Should be something sitting in this little drop off. Yep. Oh, there we go. Oh, might have to tighten the drag a tad bit. It's a little bigger one, but not big enough to be peeling drag. All right, we got ourselves a fresh sand flea on. We're gonna see how quick we can catch a croaker and drop it back down here and fish this little ledge. Look at that. Oh, that's like instantaneous bite. Didn't really time it, but I'd say that's got to be under 15 seconds. Oop. Oh. There we go. Came back for it. Oh yeah, you can see the rocks on here. Kind of interesting how everything looks different on side scan. I rarely use side scan, but sometimes you might be missing out on fish on either side of you, that, or even structures. Sometimes it's nice to kind of flip gears, you know. Typically I'm not using side scan, but for a spot like this that I have very limited knowledge of, you know, I've only fished this exact area 3 times so far, so always, you know, always trying to learn something new every time I'm out here. Oh, I dropped them. But I'm kind of just scanning the Lowrance to see if there's some type of structures on either side of me that I might be missing. I actually looked at this spot on Navionics online in detail to kind of see where the drop off started and where the little ledges are, and doing some, you know, homework on the spots you're about to hit definitely pays off dividends, because you're not wasting the time on the water trying to figure out where you should be. You know, there's always going to be that little bit of time that you have to spend to kind of key in on where you should be, but typically if you are in the right area, it won't take as long as if you're just out here blindly looking for fish. That's a bigger croaker, or maybe, yeah, it's a bigger one. Look at that guy. Now I must say, I would not be fishing a bottom sweeper jig or jigs in general for these croakers if they were the much smaller ones. You know, from like mid-June till about mid-August, there's been a ton of like those, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 inch class croakers. And if you were to fish jigs like this, you're probably gonna miss more than you're gonna hook, just because the sheer size of their mouth. But I do find that these like 12-inch plus fish have just big enough mouths that, you know, jig fishing, you know, is pretty effective. Now you can see on the screen, holy moly, how many fish there are. Look at this. I'm gonna zoom in. Look at all those croakers. My God, look at that. That's like, that is absolutely loaded. Oh, and we just hooked one. It's cool how they show up on the screen. Man, they're just stacked on top of each other here. What's kind of nuts is how schooled up these fish are. I mean, I'm not technically on top of them right now. I think they're slightly to my right according to my depth finder, but I feel like there's so many of them that you don't even have to be on top of them at this point. Like, look at that. This smallest one of the day, man. I don't even know how we hooked this guy. That one's like primo striper bait right there, man. That's kind of amazing too. That one's probably only like 7, maybe 7 inches, and I'm still able to hook them with a 1/4 ounce jig. Usually those are the ones that rob you. That's the smallest one I've seen this entire trip too, which is crazy. They've all been like jumbos, so that's a good sign. There's some smaller ones mixed in. Oh, there we go. Whoa. Last one of the day. Not a bad size one. Curious to see what they were actually feeding on. I mean, his stomach is loaded. I mean, they're definitely going to town. Look at that. He's definitely not missed any meals.